strikes on the Iranian infrastructure. Iranian Consulate General has released a fresh video. We are going to show you the video there. You can see on your screen showing an initiative by the Iranians forming human chains around power plants, saying no Iranian wants to see their country's infrastructure harmed. Heartwarming visuals. Of course, there is resilience, there's bravery, as Iran has put it. Right behind me, you can see the visuals. You can see young women lined up, holding hands. This is a human chain. Why? Because President Trump says that their nuclear infrastructure is going to be struck, and these brave people have answered the call of the top leadership in Iran, saying we are ready to lay our lives, and it's going to be the youth of Iran who are going to be leading this. Let me go across to Srinjoy Chowdhury, who's joining us. Srinjoy, at a time when everyone's saying tonight may be the night of Armageddon, you have the youth of Iran who have answered the call of the top leadership of Iran, forming a human chain around their nuclear facilities.
Yes, right now we will know what President Trump will decide upon in about 10 hours, maybe even less. And it's either going to be more time to Iran to make up a decision, or very clearly there are going to be strikes. And President Trump has spoken about strikes in areas where he hasn't hit. The Israelis may have hit targets, infrastructural targets. The Americans have, let's even consider Kharg Island, hit military targets, as the Vice President, J.D. Vance, said, even today, but certainly not the oil pipelines and also the oil tanks. Now, is the president going to do that tonight? Is he going to do that tomorrow morning? That's really the point we have to look at. Also, when there is so much talk about Kharg Island, there has also been talk about a possible boots on the ground situation. So the Americans have the 82nd Airborne, which is a crack division. They have the Marines there. Now, are they going to go ahead and do that? That's something that is not very clear. But if you've been talking about Kharg Island all this while, the Iranians also know that this could be a target. And surely the Iranians have also sent troops there, and they could be well dug in as well. So we don't know what the president wants to do, how these next 8 or 10 hours will go. But the possibility of a huge increase in escalation, a huge escalation, is certainly possible.
Is it going to be the night of Armageddon? That's the question. Well, we hope not. Even as we speak, you can see on your screens visuals of young Iranians forming a human chain around the nuclear facilities. But now let's try and understand what happens if Trump comes good on the threats that he's given, that he's going to strike and wipe out an entire civilization. What will Iran do? It's unlikely that they will sit without responding. So what options does it have? The first option, Iran, and something that it has done in the past, is intensify the strikes that it is already carrying out on fuel plants and facilities in Gulf, especially in the friendly nations of America. Anyone who's allied to America is going to be open to strikes from Iran if Iran does get wiped out, or at least there is a civilizational war which is underway. Also, a second option that Iran has is to strike the desalinization plants across the Gulf as well, which is going to be a huge hit on the infrastructure. Remember, it is against the Geneva Conventions to strike civilian infrastructure, even in the midst of a war. Well, if it is going to be all gloves off, this is a possibility on the table for Iran. Iran can also, as a third option, strike American companies across Gulf. This is something that it has already exercised in Bahrain, where it has struck several of the American firms. In fact, there have been repeated warnings which have been put out by the Iranian establishment that if you're working for Apple or Google or Amazon, any of these big American firms, you must leave your offices, because they are now open for a strike from Iran because of the support that these nations have been showing to US. The fourth option that Iran does have is to shut down the Strait of Hormuz completely. So far it has been choked, and choked only for America and its allies. It may just shut it down completely, choking the entire world's supply chain as well for fuel. Iran can also, as a fifth option, amplify the support that it is giving to Hezbollah and the Houthis in Lebanon, and this is going to ensure that the stranglehold is going to be pressed even more. So viewers, earlier Iran, remember, had laid down clear conditions for the United States, terms under which and only under which it is willing to even consider a peace deal. What are these 10 terms? Let's break it down for you. First is a permanent end to war, saying that a temporary truce is not going to happen for Iran anymore. It needs to be a full stop, not a comma. Saying, second condition, that you must stop Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Lebanon, of course, has the Hezbollah, which is being tacitly backed by the Iran, saying stop the strikes, not just against Lebanon, it is actually against the Hezbollah. Also, third condition is lift all the American sanctions, which has been choking the Iranian economy. Also, no more attacks on Iran-backed allies. Completely full stop when it comes to Iran-backed allies such as Lebanon. Also, a full ceasefire on all fronts, not just one, two, on all fronts, a full ceasefire. Sixth, guarantees against future attacks as well. Not only now, in future, no one will attack Iran, especially not Israel. Also, to reopen Hormuz with a $2 million fee per ship. Now, what does this really mean? Essentially, Iran has already put in what you can call a toll booth across the Strait of Hormuz. Any ship which is crossing, it says, must pay a fee of $2 million per ship, which it will split, it says, with Oman. There are 5 nations, remember, who have control over the strait, or rather have access to the strait, saying it is ready to split this with Oman. But Iran essentially gets to make money out of it, some form of a war reparation. Eighth condition Iran has set is the sharing of a fees with Oman, as I was telling you. Ninth is the safe passage, which is guarantee system. 10th is rebuilding the infrastructure using the transit revenue, essentially like a reparation for war. This is very significant. But let's also tell you how Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has actually issued a fresh warning amidst all these attacks. More than 14 million proud Iranian, he says, have so far registered to sacrifice their lives to defend Iran. I too have been, am, and will remain devoted to giving my life for Iran. As he puts that out, let's remind you of the human chain which is being formed in Iran. The videos have been put out by their own people. Human chains, which they say are going to be symbolic of how people in Iran are ready to lay down their lives. Chains which are going to be protecting the nuclear facilities in Iran. So let me go across to Lieutenant General KJ Singh, who's joining us, former Western Army commander. General Saab, you know these maximalist positions that one takes in a war, especially when it comes to trying to negotiate a ceasefire. But what do you make of the situation right now? Iran says that we'll kill ourselves, we are ready to lay down our lives. You have Trump saying this is a civilizational war. Does any side seem willing to blink?
Jai Hind to all your viewers. It's indeed a very challenging time, and it's a night when everybody is nervous. We are waiting to see, because President Trump has got this unique and very illogical kind of method of laying down certain deadlines, stating maximalist kind of positions, which are often irrational also. So we are keeping our fingers crossed, and he is trying to wrap up this war into a conflict between civilizations,
yes,
which is to play up to the local constituency, the hard right constituency in USA, which unfortunately is coalesced around a religious kind of a fanatical belief. So that tends to believe that they have a right to be the predominant civilization. And hence this kind of packaging of the entire threat which has been given. But I would still feel that rationality will prevail. We've often heard this famous acronym TACO, Trump always chickens out. So I hope he gets some sane advice, because you can destroy, but then destruction will have very, very grave consequences. Like even if we are talking about Kharg Island, you can't capture it. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult military target.
That's important for us. Can you, General Saab, please elaborate? Why is Kharg such a strategic stranglehold to carry out boots on the ground kind of an operation?
See, this island, which is a coral reef, it's not a very big island. Firstly, today our attention is in Hormuz. It's not in Hormuz. It is way north of Hormuz. It is away from that place. And it is an island which is, the beaches, the hills around the beaches are such that it's very difficult to firstly capture, and secondly to hold it. Because even if you temporarily establish an air raid and capture it, it would be very difficult to hold it, because it will be under Iranian attacks. Iranian missiles and others would be constantly targeting this place. And then how do you logistically sustain such a firm base even if you capture it? And the second thing is, till now, J.D. Vance has also said, oil handling facilities have not been targeted.
Right.
What has been targeted is missiles, armament storage, the accommodation barracks of troops, the naval militia of IRGC. So, luckily that has not been handled till...
But General Singh, here's the worrisome point. That's the next big breaking news, that US and Israel are not just striking and attacking military targets in Iran, they are also systematically destroying the civilian infrastructure. That's the big breaking news that we are getting for you. This you can see on your screens. Dramatic visuals of the destruction of a railway bridge in Aminabad, in Shehreza, following the airstrikes by United States and Israel. Very dramatic visuals, heart-wrenching visuals. You can see a railway bridge there being blown up. There have been bridge after bridge, civilian infrastructure after civilian infrastructure, which have been blown up systematically and as per plan by United States of America in Iran to cripple the country. As President Trump says, it will be the end of a civilization, and that begins with the civilians. General Singh, you must explain to us, what does the Geneva Convention say about hitting civilian infrastructure, even if during a war?
See, firstly, America has not signed most of these conventions. America is not even party to International Crimes Tribunal, War Crimes Tribunal. So America has conveniently kept itself out of such mechanisms. Now, but it is indeed sad. We as soldiers always believe in concept of following Geneva Convention. When you capture somebody, you have to give him minimum facilities, minimum protection, all that has to be provided. And destruction of civilian infrastructure is completely barred. It is not allowed. It is, and see now what Iran is saying, that it is going to recover the costs through the toll. So either ways, this is going to cause a cascading kind of an effect, even in Gulf nations. Because there'll be refugees, they'll get out of Iran. Where do they go? Which countries will host them?
Europe, which would be closest.
Destruction, it will have to be, reconstruction will have to be done. And in this entire process, Iran is also going to do some kind of a destruction of facilities in Gulf.
Absolutely.
In any case, there are reports that America is already carrying out strategic redeployment of its assets from 17 bases which are located in Gulf. Right. They are thinning out from there because most of these bases have become vulnerable.
Yes.
The air defense cover is now naked. And Iran
Absolutely.
has shown phenomenal resilience in this entire thing.
You're absolutely right. Iran has shown tremendous resilience. Now you have more breaking news which is coming in. The fight back from Iran. Clearly the fight's not gone out of them. They've now shut all diplomatic channels with the US. This could be good news, this could be bad news. But you have international media channels which are reporting that Iran has closed all diplomatic and indirect channels of communications with the United States, suspending the exchange of messages following Trump's threat to kill Iran's whole civilization. Remember, in the midst of nuclear talks, there was a strike which happened, which sparked off the war. And today, when we may have been on the brink of a ceasefire, may have been on the brink of some semblance of peace, all of that has come crumbling down with the strikes which have been unleashed on Iran, but more importantly, the threat of an entire civilization which is about to die tonight, as Trump says. What's going to happen? We're going to be keeping a close eye. With that, a short break. Don't go anywhere.